Hello, everybody. My name is Hector del Castillo, and I'm going to be your TA for this Organic Chemistry 2 lab course. So today we're going to be looking at the undergraduate organic chemistry laboratory, the health, the risks, the safety, and the organization. So since this is going to be a virtual format for the course, it is really important that you guys pay attention since most of your grades are going to depend on how well you are able to catch the information that you get here. So the objective of this first presentation is to improve your safety at the undergraduate organic chemistry lab, to make you aware of possible accidents during your lab experiments, to increase your knowledge about the use of highly reactive reagents and chemicals, and to clean, well-organized lab environment. That means no accidents and no chemical contamination. So in this lab, we are expected to work as a team. Both students and TAs need to be alert about what's happening in your own workplace and also what's happening on your surroundings. So you are actually encouraged to notify whatever behavior that's not proper during your session should be notified to the TA. So here we show the emergency response plans. These are the 5 different numbers that we need to address under serious accidents. So first of all, we call 911. Our second option would be the campus police. The third option, upon some chemical spillage or something that is related to a chemical accident, we notify EH&S. We need to also call the instructor of record, Dr. Mighty, and we can also call the main office. So we are all equally responsible of addressing these calls. Ideally, the TA should be doing it, but you need to be aware that this responsibility can also be yours. Should the TA have the accident, for example, or if you just happen to know that some accident is happening and the TA was not aware of it. So here we're looking to prevent adverse health effects from exposure to chemicals, to principally chemicals, particularly in these labs, but in other labs you might be exposed to organisms, diseases, and also from laboratory equipment hazards if not handled properly. So the idea here is that the TA will help you at all times to address any of these issues. So safety is meant for everybody. That's why this training is provided to everybody. In the case of EH&S, Ricardo McGreary provides several safety lectures every semester that every student is available. It's available for every student. And for the purpose of this course, that it's already OCHEM 2, it is always to review laboratory safety before the start. So even though you think you know what we're doing here, it's always good to have a review. So here we're gonna talk about the safety laboratory rules. First of all, we need to use the approved safety goggles at all times. There should be no food or drink or smoking inside the lab. We need to have closed-toe shoes at all times where the foot is covered. Work is only permitted during the scheduled laboratory periods, so there is no extemporary time to work on your experiments. You need to know the location of the fire extinguishers, the safety equipment, and the nearest exit. And you're not meant to use broken or cracked glassware. So it is important to check it before using it. Do not taste or smell any chemicals. I think this is rather obvious for everybody. We need to avoid contact of the chemicals with the skin. That's why we encourage you to use gloves at all times. We need to dispose of chemical waste as directed by instructor and the EH&S. We're going to talk about it a little bit afterwards. We need to clean your work area and put all equipment and glassware before leaving because you're not the only ones that are going to be using the facility. We need to put paper, trash, and broken glass in their specific containers. And the balance and prep rooms need to be clean so that other students can use it. So we are meant to use the PPE. So that means that goggles, gloves, lab coats are mandatory. We need to know how to use the eye wash the safety shower that's outside of the laboratory, and the location of the fire extinguisher. So remember, our policy is safety first at all costs. So before using any new reagent, chemical, or instrument, ask your TA during your lab experiment for any questions you may have. Remember, there are no stupid questions, there's just stupid people that don't ask questions. So to further improve your knowledge regarding your OCHEM experiments, you can arrange a meeting with your instructor of record. Oftentimes TAs stumble upon this scenario, so students mishandling the glassware and being successful in washing the glassware, but not being successful in putting the stuff back in their correct places. So this is something that we need to avoid during our sessions. So the corrective measures: do not leave any item, including papers or broken glass, inside the sink, and let the clean glassware dry for the next scheduled section. So remember, you're not the only students taking this course. There's going to be a bunch of students that need this glassware available for their sessions. So the TAs should assist the students in cleaning the glassware and reorganize them at the end of the lab section. Cleaning the balances is something really important, since students measure their chemicals, but they do not clean the balances afterwards. So this is a clear example of do not leave the balance dirty after use. Remember not to leave any items, and especially open containers, close to the balance. Many of our reagents are hygroscopic, meaning that upon contact with the environment, they will capture the moisture out of it, and this will ruin the experiments of your lab mates that will need these reagents afterwards. Here, students are not meant to leave any chemical close to the balance, and they are meant to move all chemicals to their initial locations. And the TAs will supervise and assist students in order to keep the balances clean and ready to use by other students. And other corrective measures that would impact your grade would be taken into consideration should this behavior is consistent during the semester. So we need to make sure that no chemicals are left on or near the balances. So everybody needs to clean. The solvent waste is really important. So students are meant to learn the 3 different solvent wastes that we have, which are the aqueous, the halogenated, and the non-halogenated waste. So it's always good to ask your TA before discarding any solvent waste. Like I said, remember, there is no stupid questions. So be careful, because explosions may occur if you mix the wrong solvent together. In this slide, we show a very typical mishandling of the chemicals. Out of knowledge, one can figure out that this is probably a copper salt dissolved in water and that it probably belongs to the aqueous waste. But it would be easy for somebody without experience to not know what this is and consequently don't know in which waste this belongs. So it is always good for students to ask their TAs about their opinion related to unlabeled waste containers, and TAs would have to keep track to call EHS to arrange for the collection of the containers. This is another example of mishandling. So these used pipettes are just lying under the waste hood that we have in our facility. So students and TAs both should not leave the pipettes inside the fume hoods. The corrective measures would be for TAs for the used pipettes should be moved to the broken glass box in the chemical prep room, and bulbs could be recycled, so they should be removed from the used pipettes. And yeah, pretty much it. So in this case, empty chemical bottles should not be left in the fume hoods, and again, used pipettes should not be left inside the fume hoods. So it is important for students to notify their TAs if they see this mishandling of the chemicals and their equipment. So students and TAs should document the solvent waste properly as suggested by EHS during the safety training. But TAs should address EHS should the solvent waste containers are almost full. And used pipettes should be moved to the broken glass in the chemical prep room. Students are expected to organize and clean their respective fume hoods by the end of the lab, keeping only the equipment with the same color code inside your fume. TAs will supervise and make sure that this is executed properly. And like I said, after some time during the semester, this could impact your grade. So it is important to keep it into consideration. This fume hood is labeled as 3A and 3B white, as you can see in the image. So only equipment labeled as 3A and 3B in the color white should remain inside the fume hood. And here we can observe that this heating mantle doesn't belong to this fume hood. So students should actually organize the fume hoods using the color code of the items. So we no longer have laboratory kits in our lab. Instead, all the glassware was moved inside special drawers in the OCHEM facility room. Should you have any doubt about the location of this place, we can provide you with the information. But it is the responsibility of students to deliver the glassware back to these drawers, and the TAs will take into consideration the students' adherence in the lab in their grades. So in this lab, we're going to be doing a multi-step approach towards hexaphenylbenzene, meaning that whatever you use as a starting material and becomes a product during one session, this product will be the starting material of the next session. So we're going to be needing to store all of our reagents. So students do need to not leave any synthesized chemicals in the cabinets by the end of the semester. So it is important to clean these cabinets. So the correct measures would be empty your cabinets and to work closely with your TA to discard your synthesized intermediates into the solid waste. And students need to clean the glassware and flasks before they leave the lab.